Hello and welcome to Team 14's final presentation for Management 310. Today in the presentation, I'd like to introduce my team and go over a brief agenda of what we will talk about today. So my name is Claire. I'll be introducing our project and report for the presentation, as well as discuss how we collected data. Next, Arturo will talk about the problem one we identified within organizational behavior of cast members at Disney. Then Devin will propose our solution to this identified problem and talk about any risks associated with it, as well as implementation and measurement plans. Then Ryan will discuss our second identified problem we found from our data and talk about the effects that we found caused this. And Charlie will close the presentation today discussing our second solution to our second problem we identified, talking about the measurement tactics, risks associated, and implementation plans, and then concluding the presentation for us. So first, I'm going to start with data collection. We utilize both primary and secondary data. Our primary data came with our survey that we created. And we used our survey to investigate various job satisfaction characteristics and company culture and measure that amongst Disneyland cast members in the parks to see how they perceived everything. And we chose to focus specifically on Disneyland, as our contact was an HR representative for Disneyland and had that direct contact with Disneyland cast members, which is how we sent the survey out to them. And we're able to collect 32 anonymous responses. So we also performed secondary data in our data collection, so we could use that to solidify our identified problems and also help us propose the best fit solutions. So with that, I'd like to transition to my colleague Arturo, who is going to discuss the first problem we identified.
Thank you, Claire. So the first problem we identified is employee retention. Disney's employee turnover rate is between 30 and 40% dependent on the position. A professional survey was sent out via human resources based around the current work conditions and general feeling at Disneyland. The average score regarding the overall job satisfaction was 3.46 out of 5. And the average score regarding satisfaction of pay and benefits was 2.92 out of 5. Based on the average scores, the current working conditions at Disneyland are overall unfavorable. And what is the cause of this? One antecedent we came up with is that cast members feel disrespected and undervalued for their work. And this comes from them being upset from wage and hour violations. High employee turnover at Disney is a result of cast members basically feeling uncompensated for their position. And in addition, some even have wage and hour violations. And that is shown in the results of the survey. The average response leaned further towards the disagree than the agree on the 5-point scale. And one respondent even voiced that they would be more satisfied with their job if they were compensated better. So right now, current pay is low and benefits are limited to Disney parks. And now I would like to invite my colleague Devin.
Thank you, Arturo. Thank you, Arturo, for introducing our issue. So the employee retention issue is quite complex since each individual has different needs and expectations for working at Disneyland. As Arturo mentioned, we have found that the benefits that Disney provides are Disney related, and this includes park access and other things like that. And that works really well for some employees, but other employees just don't agree. We would like to be more inclusive with this solution, and we would like to provide our streaming services to all of our cast members at the parks. So this includes Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus. To talk about how we're going to implement this, we would like to add these benefits to our cast members by August of 2023. This means reviewing it with upper management, discussing how this is going to be implemented, and then finally just announcing it to cast members and releasing it. We would like to measure the success annually. We would like to see what our employee retention is like every year, if this solution is potentially changing that at all. And that is a big risk. Some employees might not want this at all. It's hard to say, but we know that our streaming platforms have content for everyone. Another risk is that this can be costly to add, but ideally, with lower turnover, this will also reduce training costs, which will overall save us quite a bit of money. I'd like to now invite my colleague Ryan to talk about our second problem.
Thank you, Devin. Employee interpretation of Disney's culture and employee concern regarding upper management is another problem that we've discovered in our studies. To be more specific, the unexpected changes in CEO, the departure of Bob Chapek, and the reintroduction of Bob Iger as CEO has created discord amongst the cast members in Disneyland. We've discovered this issue within our 3 open-minded questions on the job satisfaction. We discovered this issue within our 3 open-ended questions on the job satisfaction survey posted by Human Resources, questions specifically dedicated to executives and changes in CEO. Some reasons include how the change between Chapek to Iger was problematic and rough. The primary effect that occurred regarding this change is the occurrence of a negative perspective within the cast members. We found that the chaotic change of leaders has caused employees to feel uncertain about the company's culture. And the primary reason that's the case is because there's a strong lack of communication between Disney corporate and the cast members. Now, I'd like to introduce my colleague Charlie to resolve the issue regarding the changes in CEO and follow it up with a wrap-up.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ryan. So the solution we found for the uncertainty resulting from the CEO change would basically be a viable succession plan is critical to the long-term success of any organization, including Disney. So succession, we like to see it as more of a process rather than just a one-time event. So to be able to incorporate this within Disney, they would have a successor shadow and watch the current CEO to learn the best practices for roughly 3 months before the transition period and be able to implement them immediately. They would also work with the board of directors to understand their wants, their needs, what they want to obtain from it. Boards would also need to ensure that they have the directors with succession experience who can work with management to establish the best practices for succession planning and talent management. Now, with the result in changing of upper management, including the CEO, comes uncertainty within the employees, which my colleague Ryan discussed a little earlier. So in response to the uncertainty, the CEO can issue a monthly newsletter to inform the cast members and everyone on this, just so that they're able to stay on the same page about any and all updates. So this will allow the organization to stay on board with the culture that they have created and want to retain for them. Now the risks associated with this. So this 2-part solution, we don't feel that it presents any apparent risks. However, ensuring effective communication is essential to reassuring employees that Disney conveys the cultural values that appear in their mission statements and their objectives. The solution must also follow a strict plan for the CEO succession, just so that we can avoid any concern from employees, upper management, and also prepare them for the best possible for large transitions that may occur. To wrap everything up for conclusion, for Disneyland to be the ideal state in terms of providing a definite, high-quality, magical experience, the organization must first acknowledge the challenges that they're facing and solve them both effectively and efficiently. In terms of employee retention, providing cast members additional non-monetary benefits will make the overall work experience worthwhile for them. In terms of the CEO changes, the organization will have a successor shadow the current CEO, teaching them the most ideal work practices and have them adapt and respond to any of the business circumstances that may arise. Disneyland is already well known and liked amongst the general public, so being able to have these issues solved will solidify the organization into being one of the best theme parks in the entire world. We appreciate you guys' time. We'd like to now ask if there's any questions or any concerns that you guys might have. Please feel free to ask away. Thank you.